All right, hi everybody. Minus again from wildplus.org. Going into making a progress bar. We're going to actually do a progress bar to track our energy and our HP. We're going to do both of those in this video. Where we left off last time was editing our Garada icon. Since then, just so you know, I did take the sound effect off. I deleted that condition. It's not something I want when this is done, so I went ahead and did that. So let's jump right in. What we're going to do first is make a visible energy bar that's going to be right up with our icons. It's actually going to be a great way to center what we're doing around. I like to use an energy bar or health bar to center my icons around to make it look clean. So let's go ahead and we'll go to new, and we're going to make a progress bar. Let's go ahead and name that energy. Now, if you're playing another class that uses mana of the likes, different types of power, absolutely fine. You'll just pick your power when you're doing it. So in energy, we want to, as always, tell it when to load. So as I said before, we do player class. Again, I'm going to move through the things we've talked about already pretty quickly. Talent, assassination. I'm now going to go to trigger and discuss what it's going to do. It's the same as before. This is a status. And this status, instead of being a spell like we picked before, is a power. Energy is a power. So you can get a little more specific here. Power type and energy. So this is our energy. Now, some important things about this. First of all, on the display here, you're going to list the left text as energy. You're going to have the right side as the amount of energy you have left, and then an icon with the amount of stacks, which they'll treat like the number of energy. I will tell you that the number one thing I do in display here is scroll down and I get rid of that icon. I do not need that icon, especially for something like energy, for any reason. So I go ahead and drop that out. I also do not need the left text to say energy. I'll be well aware that that's an energy bar. And the right text will be my amount of energy, which will default as progress. Now, the other thing you can do here is change the color of your bar. I'm a rogue, so click that bar color. I'm going to make it yellow. Okay, so we'll get it put into our group here and we'll organize it soon, but let's just go ahead and show it in progress. So we have a yellow bar there, and as we're fighting the enemy here, and you can see that that bar will go up and down with the amount of energy you have. Pretty simple. So let's get into editing a bit and then getting it into the group and putting it into place. So first of all, let's click on energy and we'll click the group icon here and then click it into assassination. It's now in one group. One of the things you'll notice as you're putting things in a group and moving stuff around is this will automatically toggle the visibility of some of these off. So if that ever happens, just click on that to show them all again, the little eyes. Energy is selected. Let's go ahead and move that in line with Garot. Now you can go edit the width of this bar. You can also select here in the bottom right hand side and expand it like that if you'd like. However you'd like to do it. Now I'm going to show you a little trick here, because we're also going to add a health bar underneath this. And if you've already done some work in creating a bar and putting it in place, and you want it to be pretty aligned with it, what we're going to do is actually go and right click energy. And now you're going to actually get some different things here. You can duplicate it and it'll actually keep it right in the group. So I right clicked it, duplicate, and I'm going to actually call this HP. So now I have energy and I have HP. So as a rogue, we're not going to do a lot with our HP, but it's nice to have our bar close. So now these are two bars that are stacked directly on top of each other. So what we want to do is actually move it down a little bit, so that we can see the two bars. Now don't worry about left and right, because that won't matter. We'll fix that. I'm going to show you a little trick for that. But since we've already created a bar for HP, let's go back in. Now what's nice about copying, our loading is already set up. Our size is already set up. So what we need to do now is go into what triggers it. And instead of being status power, we pick health of the player and that's it. And that becomes a health bar. Now in display, as a rogue, I don't need to really know what percent I'm at in health. And it gets kind of crazy when you do percent because it'll actually show you either a really long number or you have to actually make a custom WeakAuras to show a physical percent. Don't worry about any of that right now. I'm just going to turn the text off on this bar and I'll be able to see in a line where it is. So I'm going to turn off the right text there. I'm also going to make this bar color red so it stands out. So I'm going to exit WeakAuras just to show you what this looks like. Okay. So I don't need it that big. I don't need to have a health bar that big. So what I'm going to do is go into WeakAuras. Again, remember when it only shows one, just hit that I for your group. And what I'm going to do in the HP bar here is actually shrink it up a little bit. So I'm going to shrink it. I'm going to move it up. And then to make sure, like watch when I close. You see how it's a little off? It might be a little off depending on what you're looking at. If you do WeakAuras, because we didn't change the size of it, and you go in and display, if you look at the display here of energy, the X offset, which is left and right, versus Y, which is up and down. Up and down we don't want to change. We have it where we want. But the X offset is 180. To make sure, if you're someone who's really particular, go into here, and as long as your X offset is 180, it means that is perfectly aligned. So now if we close, we're right on par there. So now you're going to see our energy and our health bar underneath it, so we have visual sight on that. So watch the health bar go down as well as our energy as we fight. As simple as that, you now have an energy bar that shows you your amount of energy and just a displayed health bar so you can kind of see what that looks like. I find that to be pretty helpful in case you're not looking around anywhere but right in the middle of your screen where you're fighting. And that's it for making a progress bar. It's actually pretty easy. I showed you guys how to copy it, right? So if you have something you like, for example, if we really like our garrote that we created, we can actually use that exact formula, and we'll do that now actually to make a toxic blade. So watch what we do here. Now remember that this is a 40 by 40 icon. If I right click this and duplicate it, I'm going to call this toxic blade. Now, so that it's not the same, there's a couple things I'm going to do right away to keep it clean. So if we know it's a 40 by 40, we can move it over to the right by 40. So since we're in the negative, we're actually moving positively when we go right. That'll put it lined up perfectly with no gap in between. So now let's go into Toxic Blade. Load conditions, player class, talent, specialization. Now, as we talked about earlier, talent selected is actually a important part for this because we pick Toxic Blade. If we don't pick Toxic Blade, we don't want to see it there. So that's the only thing we have to change in load. And now we go into trigger, and it is not corrupt. So as I said before, make sure to use your arrow keys. Click in here. And now we have Toxic Blade with the same condition to go gray when we're not using it, and with the cooldown on it. So let's go check that out real quick. We'll check them all out in action here and see what we think. So you can see it went gray, especially with that one, with it being a bright green. It'll show the cooldown. And this is one of the reasons I like to keep it up outside of combat. If we're moving to and from combat, I don't want this to fade away, and I don't know that I don't have an ability, so I like to keep that there. So you can see your health, you can see your 2 abilities there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you in this video. We've shown you how to duplicate, we've shown you how to make progress bars and duplicate those, and just change key factors. Once you do some work, it's not worth continuously doing the same work over and over again. I'll see you guys next time when we start to talk a little bit more in detail of putting up all our cooldowns, organizing things around, and going from there. Thanks, guys.